Good luck, boys. This is Loaded Mag. Now that is a beauty, is it not?
Love it.
Love it. Love it.
Exactly. So, welcome to Loaded Mag, the first official Newcastle show off of the Loaded HQ channel. It's me, Martin. You've got Daz, you've got Chris, and you've got the gorgeous Richie sitting in the corner there. So, normally, as we progress on this show, you won't have all of us in the one night, and I know that will probably be hugely disappointing to a lot of viewers. But we do have other lives and we do have other things going on, so you will see one or two of us running these shows as the weeks progress. Hopefully, we get a few people watching this. I can see comments coming in already, so I will throw some of them up as we go on. It's going to be fairly laid back. Me and the lads had a good chat about this, and for anybody that watches us on Loaded Football Weekly on our other show, we do actually plan. I know that may seem ridiculous, but we do actually plan, and we come up with the segments and we come up with what we're going to talk about. We haven't really done that this evening for two reasons. One is we kind of want this to be quite fluid. We want people to engage with us. We want people to ask questions. We want you to throw things at us that we can talk about, and we want to bring you the atmosphere, I suppose, of kind of like a match day, but just sitting chatting about the club that we all love. So there's no agenda. We don't really have a plan. We've got a couple of things we're going to talk about. All of us are going to throw stuff in. I will throw up some questions and bits and pieces. So what we will lead off with, to begin with, obviously we had Steve Bruce's presser today, and there was a fair little bit of defiance from Mr. Bruce, who said he won't walk away. But history tells us otherwise. History tells us that he has walked away from numerous clubs time after time after time. So, Dazzler, what is your view on today's presser and Mr. Brucey's defiance, mate?
Well, first of all, thanks to anyone that's watching. And then I'd just like to say, are the rest of us not gorgeous as well as Richie? Just want to pull you up on that, Martin.
I think
it can't be just a Richie show.
So here's our first one then for tonight, Daz. Let's put this out to the viewers because we have got a few here. Is it just Richie that is gorgeous, or should we create a new Twitter poll? Well, Chris, we know deals with Avon, so I mean that's an unfair call. Me and Daz, I've certainly been bashed with the ugly stick. Daz is not far behind me, but we will pull that out to the audience. John Justice Allen, great intro, boys. Best fiver you've ever spent. I tell you what, that was a proper graphic designer, lad. That's all I'll say about that. John Justice Allen, tell you.
I'll go back to your question, Martin. I'll go back to your question. Yeah, just on the intro, since John mentions the intro, shout out to the Johnny Ash Band who let us use their track MDMA. Cheers, lads, loving it. And cheers, Simon, as well for the comment. I'll see you tomorrow on your show for the Spurs Newcastle preview. But yeah, back to your question, Martin. Yeah, Bruce was never going to leave. Never going to leave. Look, we did a show back. I keep saying this, and people are sick of listening to this. We did a show back in November where we ranted and raved that he should go. He should be sacked. We gave him a bit of a challenge. We listed who should be coming in place of him, and it was at that stage we were saying, yeah, if they got in now, that they could make a difference. If we left it any longer, it's looking dodgier and dodgier. And that day is well gone now. He's not going anywhere. Even if we go bottom of the table now, which well that won't happen. But he's not leaving. We're stuck with him for the rest of the season. And as I said at the end of the last match, I think we're getting relegated if we don't change it up. So now I'm looking for miracles. Some of the miracles Rafa mentioned before, I'm looking for some of those. Starting with Spurs, that would be some miracle to get a draw. We'll be talking about that later on in the show. But there's no way he's leaving. And then I hear talk of extend or keeping him for next year. You're kidding.
I thought that was a late April Fool's
joke for sure. Yeah,
exactly. That was our good friend Luke, was it not? Who had his piece in the Telegraph today?
Was it?
Who said? I think it was.
Telegraph, right? I saw it in UFC 360. That's where I saw it. Yeah, but it did say the Telegraph.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're stuck with them and until the end of the season, and hopefully not next season, no matter what happens.
No, it could be worse. I will just say before Richie, before we move on to you for your view, the comments now about the whole beauty thing have exploded. So it's good to see that with a brand new show about Newcastle, what has actually taken off is whether Richie has a really great beard, what our skin processes are, and who now people want a Twitter poll to see who is the best looking of the panel. So there you go, lads.
That was well planned, lads.
Yeah, exactly. Richie, then, what's your thoughts on Bruce's defiance, mate?
Well, he's got to try and say something that's positive, hasn't he? Because there's nothing else positive around the whole club and even the fan base. So, he only ever seems to get defiant with the journalists. There's nothing ever on the training pitch. There's nothing with anything on the pitch when the lads are there playing. It always seems to come from Graham Jones. There's nothing from the two Steves either. So that's the only way he ever seems to put out his defiance in his press conferences. Just some of the things that you hear about the fact that Graham Jones has now got to go through Steve Agnew to get anything to say to Steve Bruce as well. Do you know what I mean? It's just an absolute laughing matter that Graham Jones was brought in by the Newcastle hierarchy to help out Steve Bruce and help try and turn it around. And now he's been ostracised and put, you might as well be in the bloody academy with the under-23s, the way that the Steves are treating them. So, he always says he's defiant. He'll never walk away, but I think history proves, he's walked away at least 6 times from his clubs in the past. So, for once, I just wish he would walk away from our club. Unfortunately, he's here to get his last payday, because I think after the way he's ran this club, I don't think there'll be many clubs at any level will be looking for to appoint Steve Bruce going forward.
No. Yeah. Okay. Chris, what do you think, lads?
I think the lads have summed it up really well. I mean, Steve Bruce is not going to come out and say anything other than what he said. He's here to stay. He's committed to the club. He's committed to the cause. He's not going to walk away. He wants that payoff. There's absolutely no way, in my opinion, that he stays, whether Ashley's here or not next season. I just don't see it, because if we get relegated, we're not going to end up coming back up if he's in charge. We've all been crying out for a new manager now for quite a while. I would like the change to have happened by now. Obviously, it hasn't, which is disappointing, and it's not good. But if we're stuck with Bruce till the end of the season, so be it. I'm not going to get bogged down by it, and I'm certainly not going to, every week say Bruce out, because I just don't think that's the right message to be pushing at the moment. No, exactly. The main aim, obviously, is to stay in the league. That's what we all want, and we're all just waiting for this arbitration case, aren't we? So I think in terms of what Bruce is saying and what people are saying on Bruce, certainly my direction, or what I'm going to be thinking about, is that Bruce is probably going to be here till the end of the season, but I certainly don't think he'll be here past then. Even if Ashley's still in charge, I think it's time for the change. Don't get me wrong. I think if we go down, I think Bruce goes and Graham Jones takes over if Ashley's still here. Obviously, if arbitration happens, and it happens in our favour, should I say? If it's happening at the moment, but if it swings in our favour, hopefully, we get the new owners in ASAP. I think do you know what? I think even if the new owners came in tomorrow, I don't think they sat Bruce. I think they would just keep things going, keep it level, try and stay in the league, and then move on from there. I actually don't think that, because what have we got? 9 games. I mean,
I disagree with that, Chris. I think they'd change it straight away.
Do you think so?
Get rid of them. Yeah, I think
immediately.
Yeah, because we're a sinking ship. We're Titanic here. just anyone to just you know what? Every time there's a manager change, there's always a bounce. Just someone that could.
No, there is.
The players don't seem to like. I think I sent something on to you there about Fraser and about running through brick walls for the manager.
That was good. Now that was interesting.
So
very interesting.
Like you imagine if they brought in someone that could just click, even if it was a short term. Like we're all talking hypotheticals here, like because I can't see it happening anytime soon. But yeah, I that's why I think there would be a reaction out of it, and I think it would get something out of the players just to bring them up a level. And if even half them were running through brick walls, we'd stay up.
Oh, don't get me wrong, Daz. I think they should do it. And I think it's the right thing to do. And I think I totally agree with you. You know, it gets a reaction. I think I've been saying for the last few weeks, you know, a new voice is needed. They need new direction. They need a new voice. But what I was meaning is, I don't know whether the new owners would do that. I think they might just go, it's a bit late in the day, let's just see what happens. Because don't forget, they're going to get a bounce as soon as they come in anyway, because all the players are going to be thinking, hang on a minute, we're the richest club in the world now. We better get better pull our socks up here.
I better keep my finger out my hole, otherwise I'm not going to get the megabucks payday. And
yeah.
So yeah. Okay. What I want to do, we are getting comments and stuff in, but what I want to do very quickly, obviously this is a brand new show, and obviously on Loaded Football Weekly, we do obviously. Very lucky to have sponsors, obviously Mind, Body and Soul, but we wanted to kind of do something different for this show as it is a Newcastle show. And I was able to reach out to a good friend of mine, Bruce Rennick, who owns the Centre Ale craft beer and ale shop that is situated on the platform at Newcastle Central Station. So I reached out to Bruce earlier in the week, knowing that this show was coming, and the team at Centre Ale, including Bruce, have kindly agreed to be the main sponsor for all of our shows on Loaded Mag. So if you are around, you will see the next while we'll start tweeting out a lot more. Get yourself in, if you are in the Newcastle area, get yourself into Central Station as and when COVID allows and you're allowed to get out and about. Go in and see Bruce and the team. Tell him that you watch us on Loaded HQ, you watch Loaded Mag. The guys will look after you in store. They're also going to give us a few bits each month as we progress, some fine ale beer packs and a few other bits and pieces. If you're living locally, you probably will get a little bit extra, as Bruce is a black and white diehard. So if you're living a bit locally, he's going to do some stuff like some 6-pack cans and craft ales. You can go in, you can choose a few bits. If you live a little bit further away, like me and Daz, him and the guys there are going to hook up some stuff and get them posted out. So a massive thank you to Bruce and the team at Centre Ale. And again, hook them up. They're on Twitter. So at Centre_Ale. The website is under production at the moment, but keep following us and we will keep you posted with everything Centre Ale. But they do a whole host of stuff. A lot of Northeast ales, Tyne ales and other things. So if you're into your craft ales and all that kind of stuff, get in there, talk to Bruce, and they will hook you up. So massive, massive thank you from us for the sponsorship and looking after us. So,
Bruce in.
Yes.
Yeah, Bruce
it is a Bruce in. Yeah, it is not a Bruce that we want out. So fair play. Okay, so next bit then. What I wanted to cover off was looking at a few of the reports today. We'll look ahead to the Spurs game. And Daz, you can do a bit of a shout out shortly because I know you are going on to a Spurs channel tomorrow, and you're obviously just not going to talk about anything other than this show and bigging up Newcastle. So fair play to you. But a few things I've seen there today. So apparently, according to the presses, it's possibly a game too soon for Wilson. It looks like ASM is in contention, but whilst we do have the joys of Hendrick and Jamal Lewis coming back, although Lewis looks like he's still kind of covering that groin strain, we've got Hendrick that has come back and was in training today, but no sign of Fraser, was not at training today. So, what's your thoughts, Daz, on game for the weekend? What do you think about Wilson? What do you think about ASM? Who's going to rock and roll? Who isn't? Give us the Newcastle piece first, and then we'll go around the panel with the Newcastle piece, and then let's talk a little bit about Spurs.
Okay. Fair enough. Yeah, I saw clips there from the not the clips. I just saw the headlines actually. Yeah, Wilson not being ready is very worrying. I was hoping that he was obviously in my team selection if he was fit and ready to go. ASM being ready is positive. Hopefully we can get something out of ASM, but it kind of takes him a while to hit the ground running. Yeah, I didn't hear the bit until you said it, Martin, about Fraser and Lewis. But yeah, that's not great. Good to have those options. But I can imagine that Dummett would have been starting in the left back position anyway. Then I was just looking back, thinking back to the game we covered it on Matchday Live before we're at Spurs Stadium, where the final result was 1-1. And if you remember back to that match, it was absolutely desperate. We didn't deserve anything out of it, and it was, I think, it was one of the few times they brought on Andy Carroll the last few minutes of the game. It was one of the first times we got into the final third, and we got a penalty out of it. And so Wilson scored that penalty at the 97th minute. So I'm sure if I was Mourinho, I'd be playing that back to the Spurs lads and going, look what happened last time. You owe Newcastle a beating here. That they robbed you the last time. So on a result, I know we're going to cover Spurs, but we did kind of cover in our predictions in Load of Football Weekly, and yeah, I have this down as a defeat, but I'm hoping for a miracle, and a miracle for me would be a draw, but it's I can't see it. Anything positive for us? You're on mute, Martin.
Oh, I did a spenny. Yeah, I did. Yeah, sorry. Do you know what it is? Because I'm sure Daz will be laughing. It's because I'm on the buttons tonight, the first one, and it's like to be fair, the comments are flying in, and I'm losing the absolute run of myself. So yeah, I didn't really think this out at all. Really, I didn't think this.
It's not that easy, is it? Huh?
No, it's not. So you lads just keep going while I play catch up and make myself not look like an arse. So carry on. Yeah, Richie, what do you think, mate?
Well, okay. You know, there's plenty of things we could turn on and talk about regards selection and who we'd go for and how we think we're going to do and stuff. But the problem is, and we've said this since Steve Bruce has been in charge, nobody has a clue what he's going to pick. You know, when we had like Rafa in charge and Keegan in the in the entertainers days, and even with Sir Bobby, and even some lesser managers who didn't do well, you could pretty much 99% of the time you could guarantee what team's going to go out. But under Steve Bruce, sometimes you can that team you can be as positive as you want on the day or the days before the game, and then that hour before the kickoff, the stuffing could be knocked out of you there and then, and that's really, really hard to take as a Newcastle fan. The fact that I'm a bit like what Steve Hasty is. I'm a glass half full guy. I always try and find the positive in everything and try and look every single game that, do you know what, we can do this, we can get something, we can do this. But then that team sheet comes out and you go, are you having a fucking laugh? Are you really having a laugh? That's what you're going to go out with. You're going to start with two midfielders that have got no legs, that are going to sit front, and you're going to just, let them come at you. And so you're not even going to try and take the game to the team. You're 2 points above the relegation zone, and you just happy to come along and take as many, set the team up to have as many punches done as possible and take it like a punch bag. We need something different on Sunday. I think, Lewis. I think I do like him as a left back. I just don't. I think he's like a lot of players. He's been bruised. I think the fact that obviously Fraser hasn't, he said it as Martin touched on earlier. The fact he'll run through a brick wall for Steve Clarke and Scotland, but he doesn't seem to have the strength or even running ability to walk to run up to the wall when he's got a black and white shirt on at the minute. But I'd like to think that once you've got our front three back, and I would still love, and we've never been able to do this since we've had this season, play a front four of Wilson in front of Miggy in number 10 and have Fraser and Maximum on the flanks, I just think it wreaks havoc to a lot of the teams in the Premier League. Teams can't handle pace, and those front four and the movement of them alone will cause so much trouble that people like Willock or Sean Longstaff, he used to love attacking from the coming on the box, and that's the sort of thing where that base and movement causes defence that much trouble, that creates the extra space for people like Willock and Sean Longstaff to come in and make the extra man count in the box. We've got to start having people like that. People I've heard numerous times, especially this year, that Sean Longstaff is pulling up trees in training. That's something I think all of us have heard that, but he's not getting a look in. Why? Don't know. It's obviously it still goes back to the falling out he had with Steve Bruce, and I think it's just the pettiness of Steve Bruce. He's sitting there thinking, I'm not bothered. I'm stubborn. I'm not going to pick this. I'm not going to pick this person. He doesn't care. Whereas us four on this panel, we would turn around, we would go in there. I think we could probably do a better rally call than Bruce has ever done in his 20-year managerial career that he keeps throwing down our throats. Do you know what I mean? I think we would do a hell of a lot better. And I think it just seeing the team the way it is and going into Spurs team where people forget Spurs don't have a good record at St James's, but Mourinho won his first ever game last year when he brought Spurs up. He doesn't normally have doesn't have a good record at Newcastle, and he made such a big deal of it because his mentor, he finally won against his mentor's team. So he's a manager that has had nothing to do with Newcastle, but he knows how important this club is to us. And I've always said I'd love to see him as a manager one day. I think he winds a lot of fans up and stuff like that at other clubs. I think we would be a lot more appeasing with him because we know the relationship he had with Sir Bobby Robson. He's got the passion that we all have, and he's not afraid to call out the players. Do you know what I mean? So I just think that, I don't know. Distractions, Martin. Distractions, eh?
You know what it is?
Were you trying to land a plane? Were you trying to land a plane there or something?
The kids disappeared earlier on, right? For anybody that watches LFW during the week, right? The boys have been ripping the piss out of me because I sit under the stairs like Harry Potter at a desk in my hallway, right? For most of the day today, whilst I've been working and stripping the tiles out of the kitchen, there's been not a sinner around. I do a 1-hour show where I've got to look after the buttons, and all of a sudden the entire world wants to walk through my hallway. So I will consider, as these shows progress, in moving somewhere else. Even going into my garden shed that does have power would be more secluded and a bit better, and hopefully the Wi-Fi is okay. So I do apologize yet again to my 3 colleagues who are laughing their heads off at my poor state of affairs.
Just to put it out there, you're not coming to my house.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've never ever said your house looked like a shed does. I know you do live in the country, but anyway, Chris, what do you think, then, fella?
Do you know what? I seen Pete was in the comments earlier. So hello to Pete from UFC Matters. Do you know what? Pete's positive. I just love Pete's positivity. A positive Pete is fantastic, and Pete's hoping that we get the win at the weekend. And do you know what? I suppose I'm kind of cut with this from the same cloth. I mean, I've gone for the draw this weekend, but some of the points Richie and Daz have just made, they're absolutely spot on. The difficulty is with this Newcastle team, it's not like in the past where you come up against a team and you think, oh, we're in trouble here, we're going to really struggle, it's going to be a difficult game. It does feel like we could win this game, but as Rich quite rightly said, the difficulty is that hour before the game, your heart just sinks because you see the lineup and you just go, what are you doing? What's going on? I mean, we've been missing Wilson, St. Maximin, and obviously Miggy's only just recently came back. That would have been the perfect time to play 4-4-2 standard, not with the split strikers, just a standard 4-4-2 and have Carroll and Gale up front. It hasn't happened. Richie's mentioned there about doing a 4-2-3-1. 4-2-3-1 for the squad of players that we've got, I think fits best. I would, like Richie, I would love to see that attacking 3 with Wilson ahead of them. So you got St. Maximin on the left, Fraser on the right, Miggy in the number 10, and Wilson up top. For some reason, you know, that's not happened. We won't go into that because none of us really understand why. But you know, I think going forwards, we're going to have to accept that we're playing 4-4-2 split strikers. Certainly under Graham Jones, under Bruce, whatever. I think that's where we're going. And really, which might baffle a few people, the biggest one for me is the centre midfield. If I see a central midfield of John Joe Shelvey and Jeff Hendrick, I'll feel like not even watching the match, honestly. We need Sean Longstaff in there. We need Matty Longstaff in there. We need Joe Willock in there. We need legs. We need players who, you know, want to play for the shirt and are going to put the runs in. Because if we have John Joe Shelvey and Jeff Hendrick in the centre, I tell you what, the Spurs midfield, it'll just be the easiest afternoon they'll have had in weeks. Obviously, it'll be a big miss if Wilson and St. Maximin aren't playing. I don't expect both to play. Weirdly, and I don't know where I've come up with this in my own head, but I kind of had a thinking that Wilson will play, but I think St. Maximin's probably going to be on the bench. That's just my own personal opinion. I mean, no one's really clarified that. I'm also kind of hopeful that Fraser is okay. I know Martin mentioned earlier that, you know, they've said that Fraser was missing in training today. I'm just hoping that maybe, you know, Bruce likes his days off. Maybe Bruce has gone, do you know what, he's played for Scotland midweek. I'll give him another day off. He can come in on Saturday. I'm hoping that's what it is, but maybe not. I mean, I know it is. You know, a couple of days before the match, but maybe he's just thought, you know what, I'll bring him in on Saturday, give him an extra day's rest. And days rest like that are absolutely fine. I mean, the fact that we had 9 days rest and he decided to give the players 6 days off, that was a bit much. But yeah, I'm as always, I'm incredibly hopeful for the game, and I hope that we, you know, do manage to. For me, I think it's about putting the performance in. If we get beat, but we put a half decent performance in, I can take that. I can stomach it. It's when we, like we did against Brighton, we just roll over, get our bellies tickled, and get turned over 3-0. There's nothing to take away from that game. There's just nothing. But if we put in a good performance to Spurs and we lose 2-1, at least you can, you know, turn the telly off and think, do you know what, we give it a good go there. We've been all right. If we play like that, we might get something in the next game. But when you just see nothing from your players, that's why everyone's, you know, really angry, upset. If you see a fighting performance and, you know, we get beaten on the day by the better team, fans can accept that. But when you're not playing to your potential, you're not playing the correct 11 that you should be, you're not playing the formation that suits the players you've got, that's where the frustration is, and that's where the anger comes from. In terms of Jamal Lewis, I think going forward, Jamal Lewis is going to be our permanent left back, and I think he's going to be a really good player. At the moment, under Bruce, I don't think that's a good idea. Since Paul Dummett's come in at left back, I feel like we've been a lot more solid. As Martin's already said, I think me and Martin are on the same page, you know, in terms of Federico Fernandez. I like Martin. I've said for a while now, Federico Fernandez is our best centre-back. For me, he should be in the 11. Whether that's in place of Clark or Lascelles, I mean, I'd rather it be for Lascelles, but if it means putting him in the team and Clark's got to give way, I'd happily take that because I think he should be in the team. But yeah, for me, it's the midfield. I do not want to see Jeff Hendrick and John Joe Shelvey in that midfield. And if we do, I'm going to really not be looking forward to watching the match.
I think we will though, Chris. I think we'll. Yeah, I don't want to see it either.
I do. Yeah,
I do. I think I'd want Sean and it'll probably be Shelvey. There's no way he'll drop Shelvey. So, no. But I can see him just throwing Hendrick in. As well as that, yeah, I'd bring Fernandez in for sure. I think at this stage, I'd probably drop Clark. He had a good run of games there, but it hasn't always worked out. So, and Lascelles he scored 2, and I know not my captain over on my wing, but yeah, as you said, let's see what team he puts out, and we'll kind of know who you are. Actually, you know what I was thinking as well while you were describing that, Chris, is. Why doesn't he play a bit of mind games and say that Wilson isn't fit, but then play him. As in that he is fit to ready to go. Play a bit of mind games, like
a bit of shithousery. That's what we need. A bit of shithousery. That's what we need.
Like I just comparing it to GAA games here in Ireland. Like they'll say that fellas aren't fit, and they'll have them on the pitch, and then they'll come running from the dugout on. It's I know this is minor games.
There's a bit of mind games.
A difference there, I know, but just like that Mourinho isn't shy about that. He plays.
He's a king of mind games. Yeah, so was Ferguson at United for a long time.
Exactly.
To touch on Mourinho, by the way, I just want to say I totally agree with you, Rich. I would love Mourinho. Would love him. I mean, I know it's all lined up to be Rafa, and if it is Rafa, I'll be overjoyed. Don't get me wrong, but I think anybody who's saying Mourinho's finished, I think it's naive. And you know what? That connection that us Newcastle fans have with Mourinho, because of the connection he had with Sir Bobby, I think he'd love to be here. I think he'd put his all into it. And to be fair, no one could ever criticise him for that. Wherever Jose Mourinho's been, he's put his all into it. And if you remember what I said on a previous show, in terms of Mourinho, I think if he's got big personalities in the dressing room who want to go against him, I think that works against him. Whereas if he's got players who, when he walks in the dressing room, they all just look with mouths open and go, "Oh my God, it's Jose Mourinho," I think that's when he gets a tune out of the players. Ryan Fraser would run through a wall for Jose Mourinho. I'm pretty sure of it.
I think pretty much half that squad would. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, he was.
Going back to what you just said as well, Daz. You talked about a bit shithousery from Bruce. We're talking about a coach who hasn't got a level 1 coaching badge. So why is he going to come up with shithousery?
Yeah, unless it comes with a salad and sauce, I'd say. Yeah. Right, we will move along because we are getting a few questions in. So before we talk Spurs, I just want to drop back to this, because one of the things that we said about this show when we were all chatting, it was just going to be us guys chatting, and that we wanted obviously viewer interaction and questions, and we are getting really good questions in. I know we don't want to talk about the takeover, right? We said we wouldn't, but just very, very quickly, we've had a couple of questions in. One from Paul Foster, the other one was from John Justice Allen, and then there was another one there from the Premier Hotspur TV, Daz, from your mate. Yeah. So here's my quick take. If we get relegated, or Paul Foster's question, lads, if we get relegated and the value drops and Ashley still wants at least his 350 million takeover, would it be off for the foreseeable, or what do we think? So here's my take. I think he's desperate to sell, probably always has been. I think this is the only opportunity he's going to get as much money as he can. I think if we get relegated, I think he will still sell. I'm absolutely confirmed. I'm sure of that. Will it be for the same amount of money? Probably not, but I think the Saudis and Amanda Stavely and the Rubens are more than capable of driving a deal, and it will really be on Ashley. The other piece that people have spoken about is if we do go down, the tests are easier in the EFL. We can go down, we can have a new owner, we can come back up. That's all fine. We would still have to do tests in the EFL that are very similar to the Premier League. If we do come back up, though, we will still have to resit the test at the Premier League.
Yeah.
That is a fact. So just by going down and being relegated, lads, it's not just a fact of getting new owners, we bounce back and we come back into the Premier League. There are still tests to be had. So very quickly, yes, I think there'll have to be a bargain driven. I think Ashley, we know what Ashley is like. So I think that there would work need to be done. Am I confident that we'll have new owners at some point? Absolutely. And if that means going down, dealing with it, going through the Premier League, dealing with the right things, then I would take that at this point. That's just my feel. Daz, very quickly, what's your feel on it?
Quickly,
I know
this topic.
We are staying to an hour tonight, so I will cut you off if I have to.
Well, I'll remember that though. that could come back to bite you.
It will.
Let me see. Yeah, my I think just to keep my own sanity, I've flicked a switch and saying, like, I was totally positive on the takeover, but it's starting to go down, because I think it's just to a bit of my own shithousery, I suppose, if you want to talk about telling myself that, okay, so I'm not completely decimated if it all went to shit. But and same with relegation. I have to have this kind of thought in my mind in the hope that something positive will happen. But I have to admit it's getting I know the arbitration case is either starting or it's on or whatever, and we hope we get light at the end of the tunnel. I'm probably at a 6 now. Out of 10 was the question earlier. I'm going to go say a 6, where I was at 11. I was back in the day, but and if we get relegated, it'll be a 5. In relation to your point, Martin, it's cutting. I think he does want to sell, but cutting a deal. Maybe there's already a deal in place. Maybe it'll be something that he'd get more money again if and when they got promoted back up to the Premier League. But I'm still praying that it will happen. But it goes down as we get nearer that May and getting relegated. Exactly. That's it for me.
Richie, very quickly, what's your thoughts, lad?
Yeah, it's a difficult one because I've always been positive that the takeover will go ahead. I think, obviously, the closer that we look at relegation, there's a multitude of different possibilities up and out there. One of the concerns that, there's a 350 million deal in place. Obviously, there's a lot of people know from watching various different podcasts that the value will decrease drastically if we get relegated. My only concern about the reason why there's that 20% doubt is Mike Ashley has in his head where he's been able to put a few bits of million in there. And obviously, we all know he's a greedy so-and-so, and he wants as much money as possible for the club. Now, if he wants to sell, which we believe he is a willing seller, because obviously he's agreed to deal with the consortium, that for that amount of money, he wants as much money as he can. And the thing I'm concerned about is, will he think, right, 10, 20, 30 million into the squad, sell a few of the star players, put a few players in who are going to have plenty of legs, who are more than capable of getting us out of the division at the first time of asking. My only concern on that is we don't have a manager that's capable of getting us out first time. I think, if we had Rafa when we went down last time, I think a lot of players came to the club and also stayed with the club the last time we went down because he was at the helm of the club. There's going to be a lot of people wanting to jump ship because Bruce is in charge, and obviously that talk today that by Bruce's mate Luke Edwards that they could offer a new contract. It's stuff like that, just stupid little things, and you think, but no,
that's got to be a wind up by Edwards, surely.
I bloody hope so.
Is he bringing in Henry Murray? Says he's assistant there. No,
but I think going back answering my mate Foster's question. Yes, I do still think it'll go through. Whether it's going to be at 350 million, that'll only be the case if we stay in the Premier League. If we get relegated, I hope, will go ahead. But obviously, that's where figures are going to have to be dealt with and rejuggled, and how that's going to work out, because we don't know whether it was discussed tonight on the Amigos that there's a chance that the Premier League will not answer this arbitration case until our Premiership status has been decided.
That is floating around tonight, by the way. There's a good bit of that now coming out on Twitter and online there this evening. Somebody just texted me and said, "Have you seen about the arbitration?" So, and it is obviously Keith Roll there has just asked the question, what do we think will happen with the arbitration? Yes, we'll come to that very quickly after this, Keith. Chris, what do you think very quickly?
Do you know what, lads? And by the way, I don't know anything, just in case anyone's wondering. I really don't.
So you're not in the know. We can confirm
I'm not in the know. I can confirm. Yeah.
We can confirm that.
Yeah. But no, my personal opinion is I think the takeover's as strong as ever. I really do. I think the silence. Do you know what? I'm pleased with the silence. This is how it should have been from the start. And when everything was getting leaked and there was all rumours and discussions and stuff, and the fact that it has gone silent, I think it's a good thing. That point you've just made about the arbitration was interesting, Mart. I mean, for me, I think the arbitration decision will come before the end of the season, because I don't see why it wouldn't.
So do I.
However, I do think, because they've got to take the owners and directors test anyway, like you've just said. So I could see them delaying that because, obviously they want to see whether or not we're still a Premier League club. But I think the arbitration case will come. My only concern at this point is if the arbitration deny and go against what we want, what we all want, because then I still believe that PCP and the Rubens don't walk away, but the appeal process I've heard is quite long. So I don't think that Amanda and Mehrdad and the Rubens, I think they're in for the long haul, and I think they want the club. And from what I've heard, the Saudis feel exactly the same way. In terms of the price, it's 350, 305, whatever you want to, whatever you've heard. I would be very, very surprised if there wasn't some agreement in place. Ashley originally wanted installments, didn't he, when the last group tried to take over? And it wouldn't surprise me if a deal's already in place saying, listen, the club's at 150 million if they go down, and I want the other 150 if you go up in season 1. If it takes 2 seasons, I want 75 million. If it takes 3 seasons, I want 30 million. And then the overall package changes for the amounts. We all know Ashley loves a gamble, and we all know that Ashley's a businessman. So I think that's, I think that's what it is. I expect.
And just on that point, Chris, that if you recall in the first bid, the time when Ashley called her Amanda a tire kicker, there was George Calkin did the interview with her, and she had 3 different bids. One where if they were relegated and so on and so forth, there was 3 different scenarios. So now that they are friends, business friends, I'm sure they have covered all these possibilities. And my answer on the 6 out of 10 was in relation to it actually happening, not in relation. They're definitely all still interested. I definitely.
I get what you mean,
that.
mate.
I get what you mean.
But we are not in the know.
No, sorry, but before we move on, just go off what Daz says. I think Amanda said they had the 3 possible options of payment with installments and whatever. The only issue with, I think, which is slightly different this time, is when the deal was agreed was at the end of the last season. That's my only thing. The difference that there might not be that deal in place at the time, because we were pretty much secure in the Premier League last year. We are now 12 months on, and we're at the end of the following season, and we're in a hell of a lot worse situation. So that's my only reason why I think that might not be in place this time.
But then again, Richie, wasn't there something where there was something else paid to Ashley? I remember some kind of information about that. So maybe they renegotiated, put in a little clause or something there just to keep it.
Hopefully, you never know, but hopefully,
yeah. That's why I would imagine that's why he's not even entertained looking at anyone else, any other buyer at the moment.
I think he thinks he sold the club. I think he thinks the deal's done in terms of. They've agreed, the parties between them have agreed, and now there's just the arbitration's in the way, the Premier League's in the way, could be the EFL in the way, but I think they're all determined to get the deal done. And let's be honest, if it's 150 million less, Ashley will get his money eventually one way or another, or as Richie said, he might do a little fire sale. You don't know. But I firmly believe that PCP and the Rubens would have come out by now and said, listen, we tried our best, it didn't work, thanks to everyone, blah, blah, blah. The silence is deathly, and it's because they're trying to get this deal done.
Yeah, so there's a good piece there from Pete. Pete says the deal goes through no matter what. Renegotiating the price will not be an issue, whether in the EPL or the EFL. This is it, lads. The parties are committed and wouldn't have gone through all this if they were not committed. And I 100% agree. And I think one of the things that we're not in the know. Okay, we do know people that are closer to it, but we're not in the know as a foursome, right? What we do know is that the Saudis are still there, right? We do know that they want the club. We do know that Ashley wants to sell, and we know that Amanda and the Rubens are keen to get their hands on it. So we do know that work is there. The other interesting thing to me, and again, I think we spoke about this on one of the LFW shows or one of the Newcastle Special Stars, I think we did, which was if you look at some of the recent pictures of Ashley and Jackie Chader, I'll give him a shout out on Twitter. Jack Chader, who is our local Twitter spy of all things Ashley Plane movement. He's been back and forth to Dubai, and obviously some pictures came out recently of Ashley doing a deal or having met people in Dubai who have massive links to sports warehousing and everything else. So to me, part of this deal that Ashley wants to get through, whether he takes a hit on the initial price of the club is, it opens up a massive arena and area for him to tap into. So whilst he might lose, let's say he loses 50 million on the club. If we go down, let's say it's 100 million. If he can get into Saudi, into Qatar, into Dubai, into any other of those Middle Eastern countries and start selling Newcastle United jerseys, different bits and pieces. He's going to recuperate that massively tenfold. So to me, I think he would knock the deal out, get it done, get the club off his hands and focus on the high street. And that's why I firmly believe that that will go through at some point.
Interesting point, Martin.
Yeah. Spenny says he will happily show his arse in Fenwick's window if the deal doesn't go through. Trust me, man, my arse is too spotty to show. There you go. Now, again, we are not in the know whether Spenny's arse is spotty or not, so we can neither confirm nor deny. But I am sure that Chris's team in Avon do have some kind of cream, Spenny. So if you do want to reach out, I'm sure we can sort something out. Keith says Sunderland have had 3 takeovers in the time that Mike Ashley first took over Newcastle 14 years ago. More than 5,000 days. We're overdue a takeover and a new beginning. Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
Just before you go
Can't
on,
wait for that.
we are going to start a new hashtag off saying join the spots. By the way, Spenny does show.
Join the spots. I like it.
Join the spots. Yeah, exactly. That's a good one. We'll get that trended tonight. Hashtag Spenny says join the spots. Okay, we're at just after 8:45, and we are going to keep it to the hour. So very quickly, let's have a quick chat around the panel on Spurs. Daz, I know you're doing a match preview with the Spurs channel tomorrow. So do you want to lead off, give them a shout out, and then just give us a quick 2 minutes on Spurs, where you think they're at from that side of it?
Yeah. Okay, so Simon from Premier Hotspur TV contacted me last night and he just asked, would I come on and do a preview show? So I said, yeah, sure, why not? Spurs, like at the start of the season, I remember Martin, you tipped them for the league, and you know what, they did look like they could do it. But then I remember a game against West Ham where I think it was Lanzini scored in the last couple of minutes and the equalizer or something like that. But so the comments coming in. Yeah, but look, I think they're knocked out of the Europa League now as well, aren't they? They're in, and they're only 3 points behind Chelsea on that 4th spot. So they've definitely got something to play for. We're not going to get an easy ride against Spurs, even though Mourinho does find it difficult coming to St James's Park. They're strong all over the pitch, really. You know. And Son is back, I think, too. It looks like he's confirmed.
Jose said today at his presser, Son is back.
Yeah.
So you've got Son and Kane on fire in the Euro.
Bale as well.
The England games as well, and Bale, yeah.
And Bale. And then deadly defence. I know they are missing a few defenders, but no, they're going to be strong. I can't stick with what I said. I think it will be a miracle if we get a draw, and I'd be delighted to take a draw. We need wins, we need points, but we could end up in the bottom 3 by the end of this weekend. But we have to go for it. We've got nothing to lose at this stage, and sitting back and hoping for a counter-attack goal in the last minute just by bringing on Carl. Those days are gone as well. We have to go out and attack in these games now from the start and give it a go. We're not, no matter what happens, I don't think it's going to come down to goal difference staying in the league. So just go out and give it a go. I'm missing all the jokes here, lads. I'm talking to myself.
Spenny's definitely had a can or two. So he just literally said, Chris can rub cream on me anytime he wants to, Julie. So we'll leave that comment there. Pete says, great show, lads. And Julie has gone into hysterics wherever she is watching us. So there you go. Richie, thoughts on Spurs very quickly, mate?
Attacking-wise, they've got plenty of options. Kane scored a couple of goals for England over the international duty. Son's obviously fit as well, so he'll be fresh because he hasn't had any, trips away over to the Far East, for international duty. I think the one thing about Spurs is, we've discussed this on some of the LFW shows before, that defensively they are actually there for the taking. The fullback wise, I know they've been struggling with the fullback positions last week. There was rumours that Reguilon might not even make it back as well, but apparently Daz's mate says he is going to be fit. But I've always thought that Sanchez is capable of an error. they've never been the same since they let Vertonghen go. I thought him and Alderweireld were the two best centre halves at the club, and with him gone, it seems to be lacking. But going forward, they've got that much abundance, and I think that's one thing that does concern me is what talent they have got going forward. All I'm hoping is that a lot of the team have been away on national duty, that some of them could be tired.
They have enough day,
I was still hoping they would have been in the UEFA Cup, because they would have had I think the next round is this Thursday coming, so they would have had an eye on that. So it could have been a slightly better selection wise for our game. But obviously, now that that's not there, they haven't got that distraction, unfortunately. So you'll probably see the best possible team that Spurs come out, because, as Martin mentioned before, they're not that far behind Chelsea.
Yeah. Okay. Chris, thoughts?
Yeah, similar to the lads. I mean, Spurs are 3 points off top 4, so they've got everything to play for. Mourinho, serial winner, as we all know. He's gonna want to come to St James's and win again, isn't he? So Kane's a concern, and as is Son, but Son's been out for a while. Kane, he scored midweek, didn't he? Am I right in saying that for England? Yeah. So they've got class throughout the team, but I don't know what it is with Spurs, and this was even pre-Mourinho. They're just one of those teams where if they don't turn up, they look very average. And I think it was the Spurs lads who come on then and left a comment saying that the players are mentally weak. Yeah, and I completely agree with that. Obviously, he's a Spurs fan; he knows far better about Spurs than me. But that's certainly the impression I get from Spurs. There's a few players in there, I think, who are either a bit past the sell-by date, or that believe they've made the big time, and perhaps mentally they're not quite there at it every week. I'm not a massive fan of Dyer at centre-back. I'm not saying I don't like Dyer. I think Dyer's a decent player, but I don't like him at centre-back. Sanchez, as Rich said, has got a mistake in him. Lloris, I do think is past his best, to be fair. I know he's club captain. So that could be a similar Jamal Lascelles situation, where you can't drop him. So that's an issue. I mean, I'm a big fan of Lucas Moura. I don't think he gets enough game time. Bale's in and out the team, as we know, and then those comments he came out with saying he's on his way back to Real Madrid, that must have been a little bit unsettling. I don't think Jose would have been particularly happy with that. And Dombele's played a lot better this season, hasn't he? He seems to have found a better position for him. I know originally he was a defensive midfielder, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he's playing a bit further forward, and that seems to be working for him. Lo Celso, he's a bit in and out for me. Some games I see him and think, wow, what a player. Other games, missing. You don't see much from him. But yeah, I predicted a draw. I'm going to stick with a draw. But as always with Newcastle, for me, the biggest part of it is if we concede early, it's curtains. The longer it stays 0-0, the longer I have belief that we'll get something from the game. And if we score the first goal, I think we've got every chance. So, again, I'm going to be anxiously looking at the lineup about 1:05 on Sunday. And if he puts out a decent lineup, I know I'm going to feel a lot more confident about it.
Okay. I suppose very quickly, my 2 cents worth. I think we've said in a prior show, I said one of the things that I didn't like about Spurs a minute was I don't think Mourinho knows what his back 4 should be. No. And if you look at Doherty that's been playing, I've said this a couple of times, he came from a back 3 from Wolves. And I think that, Mourinho keeps sticking him on that far left or far right, I think it is. Dyer in the middle. I'm just not sure that 4 works. I would be interested to see Spurs maybe go to a 3 with Doherty more central. I think that might work better for them, but I think Mourinho probably won't do that. I think the front line, Son and Kane alone, I think have enough to do as multiple bits of damage. Interestingly there, Daz from your mate there just said only Davies and Doherty out on Sunday. Apart from that Spurs are full strength. Possibly Lucas on Sunday in a number 10 role. So there you go.
Good
Don't know. We'll wait and see. So yeah, exactly. So we will see. 5 minutes left. So what I will quickly do for those watching is obviously firstly, just thanks for watching our first show for Loaded Mag. Comments on that have been great tonight. It's great to have interaction. So thanks very much for watching. I will also give a shout, myself and Richie, along with Josh Barnyard from Away Days, and the Cockney Magpie, and Jamie Mackay, who is probably one of our more favoured Manx. I'm going to bring you a show bring you a show tomorrow night from Loaded HQ, and we're going to be talking about all things mental health. So 8 o'clock tomorrow night on this channel. Join myself, Richie, Josh, and Jamie as we try and break the stigma that is men's mental health. It's going to be a fairly upfront, frank discussion about how different aspects of mental health can affect not only men, but, teenagers, women, and multiple sections across, lockdown and all these other things that have gone on. So join us tomorrow night. Feel free to partake. If anybody wants to be part of that show and you would like to come on and chat about the subject, get in touch with any of the boys on here this evening. Drop them a DM. Either me or Richie will send you a link, and we'll get you to come on at a certain point, and we'll let you chat about it. So, I'm looking forward to that tomorrow night. Talking about that with Richie and the guys, and hopefully we can break the stigma of fellas not being able to talk about, not being okay. So we shall see that. Last couple of comments. What do we got? Paul Foster, first mag show, lads. Belter.
Cheers,
Julie Baker. Really enjoyed the show, lads. Avon's arse is an NUFC. What more do you need? Do you know what it is?
T-shirt.
That is a T-shirt slogan if ever we had. Dave Harrison says, great chat, lads. Thanks very much. Rob says, love the show tonight, lads. Great stuff.
Cheers,
Daz, your pal, says, great show, guys. Keep it up. Come on, you Spurs, but let's hope not. And our favourite second-hand graphic person, cheers, lads. Enjoy your weekend. And Keno says, great that you're touching on mental health. Well done on the show and good stuff. So
Mark,
that's
can I just
us.
say, I just wanted
Yeah,
to say a big shout out to John Justice Allen, because he sent me this T-shirt, a UFC massive T-shirt, and also threw in a little mug and keyring. So I just wanted to say a big massive thank you to John who's watching. That's
very, very nice of him. Daz, all I will say, mate, for me and you is the poster's a little bit more slow here and now. So, John Justice Allen, it's all I would say is that, do you know what? There are graphic designers, and then there are graphic designers. That's all I will say, mate. There you go. The Dazzler set that one up. One more quick shout out. Obviously, Sender Ale, sponsors for the show. Big shout out to them. I did say it earlier in the show. Get in touch with them if you can get out and about. I know Richie said he's going to get in there. A few people have said tonight they're going to get in there and get a few bits off Bruce and the team. Genuinely, last time I was home, I got in there. I got a really nice pint glass with Tyne ale on it. I got some great ales to bring home, which, in fairness, were drunk before I even got on the plane to come back to Dublin. But go in there. There's a massive selection. They do distilled gins and everything, all from the Northeast region. And just go in and support Bruce and the guys. And hopefully we look forward to keeping on with those guys as we move on. Lads, that's it. Bruce in. 2058, a 1 hour show. We have managed to do it without running over like we normally do. So listen,
but
obviously
Mark,
I hit the buttons tonight.
What's your prediction for Sunday, Martin? You haven't given me a prediction.
My prediction on Sunday, sorry lads, is 3-1 Spurs. Sorry. I just think we will have too much, yeah.
Mine is 2-0 Spurs, I think. And just wanted to mention as well, catch up on our LFW. No, not a political party. It's Loaded Football Weekly. Catch up on that on our YouTube channel from Wednesday. Great show, and there's a back catalogue there as well. And great bands to listen to if anyone hasn't seen them yet. But yeah, 2-0, Richie.
Yeah, mine was 1-1, and I'll go for the
Keno
draw.
says 2-2.
Make Chris 1-1 as well.
I hope you're right, lads. I really do. And Keno, I hope you're right too.
1-1.
Okay, doke. Right, there you have it. 2059. Obviously, my thanks to Daz, Chris, and Richie for this evening. Next Friday, we will be on same time as Daz said, LFW on Wednesday, where we have got the Outcharms joining us. That will be repeated on Saturday. We are on the radio tomorrow afternoon, 1 till 3 from this Wednesday show that was on from LFW, and then we're on again next Wednesday night. Don't forget, join us tomorrow night, 8 o'clock for the mental health special. And other than that, that is us signing out. So what we will do is we will leave you with this and say good night from me.
Good night from
Good
me.
night from the rest of the guys.
Take
We'll
care.
see you next week. Thanks a million.
Hey, lad.
See you later.